Sam Seder on the Majority Report. Emma Vigeland off today. Joining me now, Andi Dymond, theater and directing professor, member of the contract bargaining team for the Columbia College Chicago Faculty Union. Welcome to the program, Andi.
Thank you.
And we should be clear. Tell us about Columbia College, not to be confused with Columbia University in New York.
Right.
This is more geared towards theater and film production, and tell us about it.
It's a media and arts college, and it has Chicago in its name. It's a very Chicago kind of place, full of working professionals. Students come there to work with the people who will become their colleagues. We teach there to work at bringing people into the field with us. So many people become assistants and become connected to other folks in the fields that they're pursuing through their professors.
And there has been what has been reported, and maybe you can tell me if this is the case. The longest strike of adjuncts in U.S. labor history. Is that your understanding as well?
That's my understanding. The new school last year went, I want to say, 22 days. We are 44 days now, I think, or maybe a little more, 7th week.
All right, so tell us about who's on strike and why.
Well, this is the adjunct faculty at Columbia College. We are about 72% of the faculty there. Columbia College was founded by part-time working professionals. We're on strike because some unilateral changes were made by the administration with no input from anyone that will affect the quality of the education that we can offer our students. That's the basics of it.
All right, and we should say 72% adjuncts because, like you say, these are all your professors are working professionals who their students are going to be working alongside with once they graduate and go out there. And so how much of this is like, get more specific with those sort of like the failure of the college to provide for the students, and also the question of pay, because pay seems to be secondary in some respect, which is also shocking because I also know adjunct professors are severely underpaid.
Yes, if it were about pay, as one of my colleagues said, we wouldn't be on strike. I mean, it's really about what we can do in the classroom. We are in negotiation for our next contract, and we had been in negotiation for several months. And 2 weeks before the term began, a directive came down from the provost that they would cut 50 some courses in that current fall semester that was starting in 2 weeks, and then 300, and I want to say 317 in the spring quarter or semester that would be following. And they would also raise class sizes, and that they did all of this, and it's an unfair labor practice, which we filed immediately. And that's why we're on strike, because they are unwilling to talk with us at all about what it is they're doing and how it affects the quality of the education of our students. There are courses that cannot be taught if you can only spend 5 minutes with a kid. You can't give them the one-on-one that they come there to get. Not to mention other types of courses where they say, well, this isn't a studio course. We can put 80 people in there. Well, no, we really can't, because then that professor has to, deal with 80 students. You can't spend any time with them to help them through their work. And the most egregious thing is not only that they did it without any notification or any input from anyone, but that they're unwilling to use any criteria for the course cuts that they made. And then also they're unwilling. They're saying they're doing this to help their financial crisis, which they then a few weeks later said, oh, we're financially sound. But obviously, as you say, we don't get paid much, so they can't really be helping their financial crisis on our backs. It's really about crushing the union, which is what we have come to learn.
Okay. All right. So I want to back up a little bit here because, again, because of the nature of the education that you all are providing, it is very much hands-on and very much about critiquing and learning from doing, as opposed to here's, you're reading 50 pages in this textbook tonight, and then come back in and tell me how to, light a scene or, or whatnot. Talk about why the cutting of these classes is an assault on the union. And we should say that my understanding is that there has been half a dozen unfair labor practice violations that you have, that your union has filed with the National Labor Relations Board. Is it half a dozen? Maybe it's 7. I see.
It's 7, and it was more, but we started to combine some of them. But yes, every day it seems that there's something else they do that is an unfair labor practice, including most recently what has amounted to a lockout, which because we are having an unfair labor practice strike, they cannot do. That is unlawful. So that's another charge.
All right. So what is, like, when they're cutting these classes, we should say the president and CEO of Columbia College received a bonus of $300,000. Correct me if I'm wrong, in 2021. On top of a salary of $800,000, and over $600,000 in additional compensation were given to 14 other executive positions in 2021 tax documents. That is a very weird system if you are on the brink of having to cut back significant percentage of your classes. One wonders what the bonus is for.
Seriously.
Why do you conclude that their cutting of these classes, which is going to make it that much harder to teach the students who do go there, why do you conclude that is ultimately about an assault on the union?
Because what it would amount to is about 2/3 of our unit being without courses. And they have, as I said, we're also engaged in bargaining overall for our next contract. And one of the things, we're a union, so there is a seniority, there is seniority. But there's also, in terms of who gets offered things first, that sort of thing. But for full-time gets offered things first anyway. And then we get offered however many courses. And generally it's been somewhere between 60 some odd percent and 70, depending on the year. And what it would do is cut about 2/3 of our people. And one of the things that we were trying to do was protect some of that work. We are a union. Not only because we think it's important for the students to have these courses, but because you can't just, in this school, traditionally, you can't just say, and none of you people will be working. And what they've tried to say is, well, first of all, they said, sure, we'll protect X amount of courses, but only for your very top tier. You have to let everyone else go. And we're like, again, we are a union. That makes no sense. We understand that we can't give everyone the same protection, but we know that we can't just sacrifice 2/3 of our unit. Who would do that? Obviously, some corporate people would, but we would not. And they resisted any change in that. And most recently, went back to that, though we had gotten them to move off it a little bit. Why do I say they're trying to crush the union? Because they are unwilling to come off of any of that. And they want to say that we're trying to get tenure-like protections for our faculty, which is not true. It's not for any single person. It's to say that we will get a percentage of the work. We have also said if enrollment drops, we're willing to drop that. We're willing to put that in the contract. If enrollment goes up, we should get more protections. They're unwilling to have any conversation around that. And in fact, when we've come close at all, they've just said, no, we're not. We think that's wrong and that you should have no right to any protections, which makes
How
no
are the
sense.
students reacting? I mean, I would imagine that if I was an incoming freshman and I was going to hear that, I'm not sure what percentage of those classes are getting axed, but if I was going to have a lot less sort of like time with the camera, time with access to a working DP, access to a working director or set designer or whatever it is, who are going to be able to show me, impart their knowledge of the business to me, I'm going to be pissed.
Yes, students are upset, they're angry, they're hurt, because the college is not showing any real care for them. And now after, this 7 weeks 5 weeks without any courses at all for many, many students. And then putting in scabs, putting in full-timers who are doing things that have nothing to do with their course, but just so that the college can say that they are protecting the progress, the academic progress of the student, meaning they're going to pass them, regardless of whether or not they're getting an education, particularly the education they came for. I have students who are, they're furious. Like, what can I do? We have students talking about suing, their parents talking about suing. But more than that, we see each other on the picket line, and they're sad. We have relationships with these students. We have supported them in their growth, as, to become the artists and the artisans and the craftspeople that they want to become. And they have people they're like, this guy, they've said, no idea. They have no idea. They don't do this work anywhere. And so they're pretty upset.
I got to imagine a school like this too. And just based on my own experience, the idea of like, everything's fine. I passed this class is largely irrelevant, because, I didn't ask my, DP back in the day, like, what were your grades? That's not, I'm looking at the work they've produced, and that's a function of what they learned when they were trained in school, essentially.
And that's an accreditation issue, potentially, we think, because they are saying they have sent out, some departments have sent out things like, we are going to do 4 workshops. If you attend 4 of them, you're eligible for an A. If you attend 3, you're eligible for a B. And they will be workshops that the students are, what? I was teaching and directing one course this semester, and sadly, the brand new chair of the theater department is scabbing my course, and he's turned it into a devising course. Well, that is not what those students came for. When I saw them, I said, well, are you working on your scenes? And one of my students, God love him, said, no, we're not doing that. That's your work. It's like, okay. But I saw one of those students yesterday, and she said, I'm not, this has got nothing to do with what I'm doing. Why should I even go? And many students are going because their grades are threatened. They don't want to fail. They want to lose their credits, their money.
Right. What can folks around Chicago and, even nationally, what can they do to support your union?
Well, I mean, a couple of different things. They certainly can write to the college, the provost, the president. They can also support. There's so many people who've been out of work now for 8 weeks, and we're not, God love the UAW, but we don't have that kind of strike fund. We have, they are welcome to, if they can, if anyone can, particularly this holiday time, help with our strike fund. That would be huge for people that we're trying to make sure can pay their rent and pay their own kids' college tuition, et cetera, that kind of thing.
Where can people access that strike fund?
It's a GoFundMe. So Columbia College faculty, CFAC, CFAC.
All right. Well, we're going to put a link to that in our podcast and YouTube description. And we'll also find maybe some emails for the college. And I know that we have a lot of people who have, juniors and seniors in high school, parents. And, this is, people are watching to see what direction the school is going to take. Because it's a great school for if you're going to get involved and really want to work in those industries. But if you're not going to have access to people who know what it's like to work in those industries, I'm not quite sure what the point is. You might as well just take some type of YouTube class,
as people will do, I guess. I don't know, but it's also part of a much larger challenge to higher education here in this country. Administrators are making all the money. Professors, teachers are being pushed, their classes are getting larger, they're losing jobs. And this is a thing. Yeah, there are people who still have tenure, but they have to know they're next. If other faculty can be, crushed and pushed out of the way because of the corporatization of education everywhere, not just at Columbia College. And so I think that's a huge concern. It should be a huge concern for all of us.
I think you're absolutely right. Andi Dymond, theater directing professor, member of the contract bargaining team for the Columbia College Chicago Faculty Union. We will put all those links in the podcast and YouTube description. Thanks so much. Good luck. I hope you guys prevail.
Thank you so much for your time.
Okay.
Take care.